I want to tell you a few stories first, and or I go through the pictures first, then I want to tell you some stories, because the pictures just say so much. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, I should just go show you one picture and be done, right? We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to try not to do too many more than that, and just show you about that. I hadn't planned to do a whole report, and several had asked, no, we want to report, and instead of just mentioning some things that we did, so we'll move through some pictures here. I'll try to move around and not block too many people. You recognize the guy trying to represent the Aloha State. Instead of wearing the traditional batik shirt that's there, they have kind of their version of the Aloha shirt. So it's hard to see there on the picture, but wearing an Aloha shirt and speaking through an interpreter. There's a January is his name. It's the older dorm student is what it's called, that our family sponsors. You can sponsor a dorm student for $20 a month. If the $60 a month is not something you can do, so that's an opportunity. We brought him some swag, and which is what the cool kids call it, right? From the North Shore, the He Is Greater Than I store. From there, we made a trip up there and got him a T-shirt and also the wristband that shows He Is Greater Than I. So he was proud of that as well. A picture of me with some of the young men at the congregation there, as well as some of the leaders and things like that. Amy with one of the wives of one of the main teachers and preachers there in that congregation. This is the main congregation in the city of Punamsutoli. I say city, it's a big small town basically, but it's the largest city on this island, 25 miles by 75 miles in size. So it's about the size of Oahu. It's just stretched out and skinny, but as far as land mass. Of course, we spent a great deal of time at the children's home. This is the front of the children's home that is there. So your contributions could, go and provide them with such a great facility. And if you think, wow, that looks like a nice facility, certainly what you can't recreate. I thought about this. You have to recreate the smell and the noise as well. Like some burning rubbish here in the building and let it kind of flow around. And that's kind of what you exist in all the time. Of course, dirty by our standards. In comparison, this is just another view there down corridor back to an open area where they are. Okay, so you see some laundry there on the side. They do their own laundry as they get of any age at all to do that. Inside, that's a typical bedroom. You see the bed there. They have 2 beds and 2 sleep in each bed, so 4 share a room. And you think, wow, that's not very much. I want you to know the money that goes, each children are well cared for, even among children's homes on Nias. There's some stories about, obviously whenever they got up and running and they accepted the first 18 children, they wondered, okay, how come our estimate for food, we're always running over budget for food, and it's not what the other children's homes told us what we need to budget for food. And so they went back to those other children's homes and saying, how come, what are we doing wrong? And they said, oh, I see what you're doing. You're letting them have seconds. And so I said, okay, we need to cut that back. And so to do that, but then what would happen is there were some of the children would actually break into the pantry at night and eat basically the saimin, the dried ramen noodles without cooking them, eat them as a snack like that. And they're like, of course they were in trouble for that. Why are you doing that? Because we're hungry. And so they made the decision, but we don't care if it costs much more or not, we're going to let them have seconds. And so they come back. Of course, it's a rice bowl, with tiny portions. I think twice a week there's some type of meat or fish with that. And so it's primarily rice. That's another way also you can participate in helping is, again, if a monthly contribution is just not something you're able or willing to do, you can buy a bag of rice. The home goes basically through a 60-pound bag of rice every day. And so if you buy 1 bag of rice, it costs about $25 US, then you are feeding that home for that day. Obviously, the $60 that goes toward the children doesn't cover all of their expenses, and that's kind of as much as my dad, who's really, that's our connection with the work, so we're personally involved in there. We want to try to make it affordable for people to support the kids, but it does rely on some special needs as well. So if you want to feed these children for a day, a bag of rice is $25. There you see a bedroom mosquito nets there as well. Being Indonesia, of course, malaria can be an issue. They were having kids come with that, so treated for that, but then also provided mosquito netting for them. So you see, real simple, but such a step up from what they have. You'll see pictures of maybe the homes where they moved from. Of course, it's all about the children, and that's captured in their faces. I have a soft spot for a lot of the girls that are there, obviously predominantly boys that are in the children's home, but girls as well. They're teaching them about Jesus, but they're also teaching them about life. They're taught to be part of the community, to take care of their things, to bathe. For many of them, first time they've ever seen running water or flipped on a light switch would be when they moved here to the home. There's a story about them, before there was a church building on the property, they would bus them to go to worship on Sunday mornings. And these are 8, 9, 10-year-old kids, but it was the first time they'd been in a van, is what they were riding in. So several of them, there was no way to plan for this. On the way to church the first time, several of them were car sick. So obviously not a pretty scene in the van, but because they had just never been in a car before. And that was such an unusual feeling for them. And so such an improvement from where they come from. There's some teaching them responsibility. Agriculture, of course, is a great way to do that. They also can eat from that. So they have a garden, some chickens there, also some pigs that they recently bought, and taking care of them, chores and responsibilities as well. But it's not, I almost shudder to use the term because I'm going to sound like I'm putting it down. But I want you to know that this isn't just free handout. It's not just benevolence, it's training. Both in spiritual training, but also life training, skills that they would not otherwise have. Because at some point they leave the children's home. And if we're not careful, you can set them up, they have a great childhood. When they go, there's no future, they have no skill. And just like we as parents are raising our children, we're not just feeding them, but we're also trying to teach them how to be productive Christians, but also people in the world. And so that is the caretakers are involved in trying to do that. Another local boy there who wanted to hold the chicken also, the rooster, and so you recognize him. That's the facility where the pigs are at. I think the day we left, one of the sows had a litter of piglets. One of the things they get to do, when it first started, it was about meeting necessities. And so we're talking about children who, they would have siblings who would die at home for something that we would probably do a $20 copay for some medicine at Walgreens, okay, or at Longs. And because they would never see that type, many of them would have, it's very common for them to have 2, 3, or 4 siblings who have died for very preventable reasons. So it started out with just meeting those basic needs. It then moved to education and schooling. They wouldn't go to school in their villages because they couldn't afford uniforms to go. So while schooling is free through elementary school, you have to have a uniform. Many can't afford uniforms. Of course, that knocks them out of education, even elementary age education. At some point, so enough sponsors were sponsoring that they got to move the level of care up from necessity to remembering that these are children. And so what you see here is they're eating birthday cake. And so once a month, much like we do, they get a couple of birthday cakes and they celebrate the birthdays of that month, something they never would have done prior to coming to this. No gifts, no outpouring from grandparents and things, but at least birthday cakes and things like that. A video, they're singing a song about birthday cakes. There you can also see the courtyard that is there. You see that's where they play primarily. Notice the aluminum covering on top of the walls. When they built the walls for safety and security, they put shards of glass in it that are sticking up to prevent people from climbing over. But they play soccer, what they call football, in that courtyard. They kept kicking the ball up and puncturing it on the glass. So over the security glass, they've laid these aluminum blocks. And what you do there. You see the faces, you see the joy that they enjoy, and that was kind of the birthday. I think it was Cut the Cake was the song, they translated it. Let's cut the cake, or something like that. And very good. We have some, not just all of them, but we have some children that we are particularly connected to, not just Nobelius, but if you might recognize the couple in the picture this young man is holding, and now he has a picture with 3 from your family. Their Apogee sponsor him, and just go around, sponsor him, and one of the questions we asked him was, do you have a picture of your sponsors? And he said, yes, of course, and so we went to his room. We went to his room, and he immediately